Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Nicol with FranNet, and I have the pleasure to introduce Alisza Stark with Lendzee. Lendzee is one of the new financing partners for FranNet, and they really offer some very unique financing options that you may not know exist or you may not have heard of. So why don't I turn it over to Alisza, let her introduce herself and Lendzee, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Paige. My name is Alisza Stark. I work over here at Lendzee. I am an account manager. Been working with this company for over 6 years now, close to 7 years. We are basically a consulting firm. We help with financing, but also we help with credit. So we're unique in that way as well, where we, of course, want to help figure out and explore the funding options available, but also educate on credit. Because if you're not qualified right away, I want to make sure I can help you get to that point so that we can get you funded. So we do a little of both here over at this company. And we've been helping with franchisees, but we also help with startup businesses, working capital. So even if you say have been in business and you're looking for a loan, line of credit, we've been doing it all. So we're open to just taking a look at documents, learning more about who you are, what your business is, and then of course finding that funding solution and
Okay.
making sure it's a good fit for you.
Well, a lot of the people I work with are maybe new to even thinking about a business. Maybe they haven't decided if they want to start
Mhm.
a franchise or buy an existing business or what have you. And sometimes the first thing they have to figure out is how much money they can put together.
Right.
And usually I tell them there's home equity lines of credit, you can borrow money against your portfolio. Obviously, there's small business administration loans, money from family, which is my favorite. With Lendzee, other than those types of loans, what types of loans do you do specifically?
So we do a mixture. SBA, of course, is an option. I always initially bring it up because it's the most well-known product out there. I think, especially in the franchise industry, it gets talked about the most, just because, again, it's been around for so long and it is that startup business option. But once they get connected with me, I like to bring up some alternative solutions as well. So we do look into some unsecured term loans. So these are more just cash where they're not collateralizing the asset, because I do get a mixture of clients that are not wanting to touch their home, or maybe they're renting, they don't have the assets like others do, but they're strong based on their credit profile. They make good money currently with their day job, maybe they're self-employed from another business, so we can look into unsecured loans. And it's also a quick turnaround, which is what everyone loves. With SBA, we all know it's taking time. Not the quickest. We're unsecured, in and out. We can get done within a couple of weeks. But we also are able to do everything with just soft pulls, right? Just looking into what options what are available, rates and terms. So it's been a great product for our clients. They love it. They love that the fact that it's not attached to, again, their home. There's no restrictions on the money, so they're able to receive it and use it as they need. But we also look into the ROBS program. This has been a great option for anyone who has retirement. Maybe they have that 401k from other employers, IRA, they've been saving, and they're willing to use that as an investment tool. So we're able to get that product going or just explore it. As you mentioned, the home equity lines of credit, we do offer that as well. I think it is a great solution too, if available, because of how it's structured. So each product here we can explore. We can take a look at it, look at for brief information. That's another thing. We really simplify the underwriting process where we're not grabbing everything, just a quick look here or there with some documents, a credit check. And then from that point on, we're able to see, is every product available to them, or maybe one or the other might be the best option. Handful of clients might be pre-qualified for everything we're offering, which is a great, because then they can look into these products with no obligation and then decide, okay, this is what I want to do. Or, they can also mix and match, maybe use a little retirement, take a little unsecured loan out, use some out of pocket funds. So that's up to them. And my goal is to do that, figure out what's available, hold their hand throughout the entire beginning stages here, and then let them make a decision on how they want to fund their business.
Well, wonderful. And,
Mhm.
I know a lot of the people that I work with, like I said, they're not sure what kind of business they want yet. Maybe they don't know how much money
Mhm.
um, they need to raise, or even if they need to raise any money. But I do like your solution that there's multiple funding sources and maybe it's a mix.
Mhm.
So if someone came to you and said, listen, I don't know how much money I need, and but I'd like to know what my borrowing power is, kind of like buying a house. I'd kind of like to know
Mhm.
what I could afford before I go out there. Do you pull on their credit score? Will this go against their credit score if they fill out an application, or how does that work?
Absolutely not. So we send the application out to them. It's brief too, just a little bit about themselves, a couple asset questions. If they have a business, we'll learn a little bit more about that. And it will only allow a soft check. So there's no hard inquiries, no changes on the credit score. And with our AI system that we have, it instantly pulls the full profile on Experian. So from that, in seconds, we're able to see either score, trade lines, the debt reporting. So it makes it quick to underwrite to really figure out what they're pre-qualified for. Following that, we grab those income documents. If they're working, if they're receiving a source throughout, maybe they're retired. We get a lot of military clients, so we know we're able to grab those documents, and then within even a lot of time within an hour, I hear from underwriting, and they're providing pre-approval numbers. So then I can get on the call with the client and let them know, okay, this is what your pre-approval is, with just some soft numbers. You're, from a range, lower to higher end. So they have an idea, okay, this is what I potentially can secure. Perfect. Then they can go and look into the franchises, businesses, what they're wanting to do. And I think having that number in the back of their mind really makes it easy to find what they want to do moving forward. So they're looking in the right business bracket, the pricing brackets. And from that point on, once they're ready, they come back to me and we can start next steps.
So, how long does it normally take if someone fills out this brief application, maybe, provides you or at least tell you, some of the income sources and details on that? How long does it take to get some kind of pre-approval, some kind of idea of what they may qualify for? How long does that normally take?
I, it'll say 24 hours. Honestly, it's always the same day. If they can get an application into me after we've spoke and then provide those documents, it's usually the same day. Again, within the hour, I have options and pre-approvals, and so we do move really quick to let them know what's out there because everyone's different. Some of them have time to review, some of them are on a time crunch. So either way, I'm reaching out most of the time same day.
Okay, and I know with small business administration loans and lines of credit on your home and things like that, those can take some time because there's a lot more that's into it. But with the unsecured line of credit, once they come to you and say, okay, I've been approved for, let's say, $100,000 and I'm ready to move
Mhm.
forward, generally, how long does it take from them deciding they want to move forward to them having funds in their bank?
Oh, very quick turnaround. So, just a brief breakdown. So, if they're pre qualified, they're ready to take a next step. Everything we do in the beginning stages with any product we're offering, it's a soft pull still. But once we know they're pre-qualified, we're able then to present formal numbers from the lenders. Unsecured, even our HELOC is unique in that way where we can at the same time run a quick soft pull with our technology and let them know what the HELOC option is, what the rate is, the term. Same thing for unsecured lending, and that takes usually 24 hours with our system once they're at that point. Some lenders are a little different with the unsecured option where it might take maybe a couple more days because some lenders we do work through a little more hands-on manual, so they all can vary. But I would say about maybe a day, honestly, for us to show options. Once that is presented to them, if they're ready to secure funding, anywhere from 10 to 14 days.
Okay,
So
so it's pretty
yeah,
quick.
couple weeks. Yeah.
Okay. And then I know this is someone it depends question, but if someone came to you and they have good credit, they have a steady job, they have some liquidity, so on and so forth. With these unsecured lines of credit, or not lines of credit, but unsecured loans, what do the rates look like if you're a pretty strong credit individual?
Yeah, I mean, right now we are seeing them anywhere from about 8.5. up to about 16.5% for anyone with a really overall strong credit profile.
Okay.
And then terms anywhere from 3 to 12 years as well. So they go out pretty far for the repayment option.
So one of the things they obviously have to look at is the different interest rates and so forth. What I do try and tell my clients, which I think is important, is you may not carry this loan for, a 10 or 15-year term. You may decide to, pay this loan off quickly, and or refinance it at a later date. Is
Mhm.
there anything else that affects, the interest rate or loan amount or term other than their credit score? What other things are you looking at?
Honestly, with the unsecured option, it is mainly credit based if that's going to fluctuate with the interest rate. So it's really just based on that. And what we're doing with our underwriting team, once we take a look with the soft credit check, we're able to see what's reporting on there that may or may not impact interest rate from the get go. So say right away, if maybe there's a collection, for example, high credit card balances, inquiries, any of those that are reporting that are maybe causing the FICO to be lower, that's ultimately what's going to impact an interest rate in term, maybe a shorter term, higher rate just for risk factor. But in those cases, before we show formal numbers, this is where I come in to recommend and suggest on maybe working on a couple things on the credit, especially if they have time. If they're still looking at businesses and franchises, if they're still trying to get that all lined up, they have an opportunity to work on that. We'll put together, maybe some pay downs on credit cards. Not saying you have to pay all your cards off, but how about work on this or dispute that, so that they can change the profile, get them in the absolute best credit position.
Okay.
So that's definitely what we want to push on. Right now we know where we're at with the economy. Interest rates on every product are, well, still a little high, but that's why I make those recommendations. So we definitely will talk about that first.
Okay.
Unless, of course, if they're like, let's just go for it. We can't, if there's, can't make these changes happen, we'll still present what the rate will be and then let them decide if it works at the end of the day.
So it sounds like if I have clients that are still not sure if they want to own a business yet, they're not sure what kind of business or how much money they need, but they just want to get a feel for what is available to them in terms of different products. They want to get an idea of what they could qualify for, whether it be secured or unsecured. It sounds like the best thing for them to do is either to contact me and I send them send you their information, or they contact you directly and fill out a very short application that's no pull on their credit score, and that way they would know within a day or so, what they would qualify for. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
That sounds good to me. Yeah.
Well,
That's
wonderful.
usually
And
the
what
easiest way.
is the best way for them to get a hold of you, other than working through me?
I mean, they can always go directly on our website, which is www.lendzee.ai. There's also a lot of more information on there on each product, so they can even download a PDF, so they just for their reference. And then on the bottom, there's also a direct phone number for us that can instantly go to me. That is probably the quickest way. Or there's always my direct email, which is Alisza@lendzee.ai, Alisza @lendzee.ai. So either way, honestly, the website might, if they're not going through you, the website most definitely.
Okay.
We also have our application on there if they want to instantly see what they're pre-qualified for. So yeah, if they're ready to go and they want to get connected with me, that is probably honestly the fastest way. Just filling the application out on the website.
If you're watching this video, you will get my contact information. You can just email me, text me, and just say, Paige, I want to get in contact with Alisza at Lendzee, or I want to learn a little bit more about their programs. So feel free to just click on the information attached to this video, and I'll help you any way I can. So Alisza, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time, and I will look forward to chatting with you soon.